You ever get that feeling like everything you've been told was a setup? That maybe one of the biggest events in pop culture history, Tupac Shakur's death, wasn't just tragic, but a staged vanishing act pulled off in plain sight? Well, welcome to the rabbit hole, because if even a fraction of what's coming out is true, then not only is Tupac alive, but the man who might have thought he won the war, Diddy, could have been played like a fiddle the entire time. It starts with a question that won't die. What if Tupac never died on that Vegas strip? 4 shots, a packed city, a supposed gang hit, and yet nothing ever really sat right. The coroner's report had his height and weight completely off. The autopsy photo looked faker than a bootleg DVD cover, and the cremator who supposedly handled his remains vanished, retired, gone with a fat check and no trace. That's not just suspicious, it's damn near cinematic. And now, as Diddy sits under a legal microscope with the feds raiding his mansions and his inner circle cracking like stale glass, whispers are getting louder that maybe Tupac didn't just fake his death. Maybe he orchestrated the whole thing to frame Diddy as the villain. Think about that. The ultimate rap beef twist. Tupac flips the table, disappears, and lets Diddy carry the weight for a crime that never really happened. See, Diddy's empire is falling apart. What used to be Bad Boy Records is now more like a bad courtroom sketch. His legal team is burning money like it's confetti. RICO charges, trafficking allegations, shady parties. It's not just one thing, it's a collapsing tower of skeletons. But here's where it gets wild. Insiders are starting to hint that Tupac may have been siphoning off funds from Diddy's empire for years. Hidden royalties, untraceable wire transfers, a ghost label operating from the shadows. The kind of setup that doesn't just take brains, it takes time, patience, and motive. Enter Michael Nice. If you've never heard that name before, buckle up. He claimed to have been working with the Black Panthers, yeah, those Black Panthers, who allegedly caught wind of a plot to take Tupac out. According to Nice, they staged the ultimate switch. Smuggled Tupac out of the hospital, replaced him with a body double, put him on a private plane, and flew him out first to Barbados, then to Cuba, into the arms of Assata Shakur, Tupac's godmother and a known fugitive living under Cuban protection. It sounds like a movie, but here's the kicker. Nice said he was on the plane himself, not just helping, flying it. And right before he could release irrefutable proof, boom, he ends up dead. No explanation, just gone. Now, maybe that's coincidence. Or maybe it's the kind of coincidence that seems to follow anyone who gets too close to the truth. From hospital staff to coroner workers to random witnesses, people connected to that Vegas night keep disappearing, clamming up, or cashing out. It's not just strange anymore. It's a pattern. Meanwhile, back in the real world, Diddy's sweating bullets. His legal team is scrambling to plug leaks. Every week there's a new lawsuit, a new witness, another story that makes him look more like a mob boss than a music mogul. And somewhere out there, if these theories hold any weight, Tupac might be watching it all unfold. Calm, patient, waiting for his moment. Cause if this really was a game of chess, maybe Diddy was never the king, maybe he was the pawn, and Tupac, the one who looked like he got taken off the board, has been moving in silence the entire time. Vegas was hot that night. Tyson fight, streets packed, celebrities everywhere, the perfect chaos. And yet, somehow, nobody saw the shooter. 14 bullets, crowded intersection, and still no clear eyewitness. You'd think with all the camcorders and photo flashes, someone would have captured something, but no, just a car full of bullet holes, a legend declared dead, and 1,000 questions left in the desert wind. The moment Tupac was rushed to the hospital, the story goes cold. No public footage from inside, no interviews with doctors, no images of his family arriving in panic, just a 6-day silence, then a sudden cremation. One photo, barely clear enough to prove anything, and a coroner's report that reads like someone filled it out during a lunch break. Weight's wrong, height's wrong, the whole thing smells like a cover-up marinated in cash. And then there's Suge Knight, sitting right next to Tupac when the bullets flew, yet barely a scratch. Not one bullet grazed him. He's built like a tank and claims he didn't see anything. Please. Years later, he gives interviews that make you think he knows more than he's saying. At one point, he even hints Tupac's not dead. Smarks says something cryptic like, "You never seen him in no funeral, right?" That's not grief talking. That's a man either protecting something or hiding from it. What really throws fuel on the fire is the involvement of the Black Panthers. Tupac's mother, Afeni Shakur, was a proud member. Assata Shakur, his godmother, has been living in Cuba for decades, dodging the FBI. This isn't just some random conspiracy dragged from a Reddit thread. These are real people with real connections and a very real reason to protect one of their own. If anyone had the network to pull this off, it was them. Michael Nice, remember him? Claimed he was working for the Panthers, said they knew a hit was coming, so they staged an extraction. He described the whole plan, bribed hospital officials, used a decoy body, got Tupac on a jet, and flew him out. According to him, Tupac wasn't just alive, he was co-piloting the damn plane. They stopped in Barbados before heading to Cuba, where Assata was waiting with open arms. It sounds insane until you realize Michael Nice ended up dead days before he could release the proof. And not just dead, mysteriously dead. No explanation, just like the cremator, just like the coroner, just like that hospital staffer who cashed out and vanished. It's like anyone who gets too close either forgets what they saw or doesn't get the chance to say it out loud. Meanwhile, whispers start to grow. People swear they've seen Tupac in Cuba, walking around Havana, taking pictures with tourists. Grainy photos start circulating, some fake, some maybe not. Private investigators claim they've tracked down bank transfers, hidden royalties, all leading back to someone operating under shell names. A ghost label in exile, they say, pushing out unreleased tracks under aliases. And where's all that money coming from? That's where Diddy's name keeps getting dragged back in. Industry insiders say funds have quietly vanished from his companies for years. Little leaks, toilets, siphons. Enough to bankroll someone hiding far away, living comfortably, and maybe, just maybe, waiting for the day to show his face again. If true, this isn't just about Tupac escaping, it's about revenge. Long, calculated, cold-blooded revenge. Suge Knight sits behind bars, but his voice still finds its way into headlines. In one interview, he dropped a line that made conspiracy circles light up like Vegas strip lights. Justice for Pac is coming, Keffy, and now Diddy. It sounded less like a statement and more like a warning, the kind of thing that makes you wonder, how much does Suge really know? Was he part of the plan, or was he the last to find out he was just a decoy? For decades, the rap world has spun around legends, beefs, and blurred truths. But this one, it might be the biggest mind-bender of them all. If Shakur really faked his death, pulled off the greatest vanishing act in music history, and framed his rival in the process, then it's not just about revenge. It's about rewriting an entire chapter of hip-hop. And now, with Diddy tangled up in a legal firestorm that smells more like a RICO indictment than a celebrity scandal, everything is being re-examined. Behind the courtroom drama is a deeper, darker question. Was Diddy set up to take the fall not just for one night in Vegas, but for years of deception? Allegations against him are stacking up. Trafficking, blackmail, secret recordings, wild parties that felt more like baited traps than celebrations. Prosecutors are using words like criminal enterprise. Witnesses are describing a life of manipulation and control. Every denial his legal team throws out sounds shakier than the last. But here's what's really messing people up. Those quiet, consistent stories that money from Bad Boys' vaults has been slipping out for years. Not in big chunks, not traceable, just slow, strategic leaks. Royalty checks going to ghost names. Licensing rights being bought and sold under shell companies. And music tracks that sound eerily like Tupac surfacing online under aliases with just enough tweaks to avoid detection. If this ghost label theory is real, it means Shakur's been feeding the machine from the shadows, releasing music without revealing his hand. Multiple sources now claim the unreleased music pipeline is active. 3 former execs speaking off the record said they've been approached by people offering tracks that sound too clean to be posthumous. They talked about encrypted drives, NDA-heavy meetings in random hotel rooms, and payments that had to be made in cash or crypto. One even claimed the voice in the track addressed the one who thought I was gone. A clear dig, they said, at Diddy. What does that mean for the culture? If Tupac were to come back now, even digitally, the impact wouldn't just be nostalgic. It would be nuclear. Labels would panic, lawsuits would rain down, people would be forced to admit what they knew and when they knew it. The ripple would hit hard. Artists, producers, lawyers, maybe even law enforcement. Especially if the return came with receipts. Real proof, real confessions, real footage. That's why the industry's so nervous. The ones who laughed off the conspiracy for years are now biting their nails behind closed doors. Because if it's all true, if the myth was never a myth and the comeback has been slow cooked for nearly 30 years, then this isn't just about Tupac escaping death. It's about Tupac taking back control of the narrative, of the legacy, of the empire he was cut out of too soon. And if the day comes when he steps back into the light, microphone in one hand, receipts in the other, the game won't just change, it'll reset.